Assalamu alaikum class. I hope you all are fine and safe at home and learning a lot from home. I'm your instructor Iqra Fatima and I'll be teaching you today phrases, clauses and sentences. The purpose of this class is that because in the previous classes we were talking about some other grammar related sections like agreement rules where we talked about subject verb agreement, agreement, pronoun rules, adjective agreement rules, adverb agreement rules, and other some other agreement rules. So we will continue this grammatical section because these grammatical sections will help you a lot to improve your writing skills. Because in composition, the very first thing is that whatever you are writing should be accurate. So in order to write accurately, you should know the grammatical and syntactical features of the language. Okay, so in this course, you will learn the difference between phrases, clauses, and sentences. You will be able to identify these three things and you will be able to compose a correct sentence. Why we are learning this today? Because in your composition I have observed one major problem that most of you don't know either you are writing the complete sentence or not, because you are unaware of the format of complete sentence. Some of you write a group of words which could be phrases or clauses, and you think that this is the complete sentence, but that is not the complete sentence. So the main problem is you are unaware of the structure of a complete sentence. For that purpose, first you should know what is a phrase, what group of words, what type of group of words are called phrases, what type of group of words are called clauses, and what type of group of words are called sentences. So that you can't make any mistakes while writing. So let's start the lecture. Let me open the slide so that it help you to see where we are when I am teaching you. Okay, so let's start. Very first thing is phrase. Before starting the lecture, I just want you to revise the hierarchy which I shared with you in our very first class, that whatever the language is, there is a hierarchy to learn that language, which every human being follows. Because if we are learning our first language even, so at that time when a child is born, he or she when he or she starts speaking something, he or she starts cooing or babbling, he or she says some sounds like ba, ma, ka, ba. So these are the sounds which and then what a child some like say. उसके बाद after that what they do, they start speaking some words like mama, baba, catch, up, there, and then there's a stage when they start speaking some phrases like out there, come on, go there, pick it up, pick up. So they start speaking subgroup of words. And then there is a stage when they are able to speak a complete sentence if we talk about the process of learning a language. So as sometimes you are consciously learning a language, this that could be your second language, and sometimes you are subconsciously learning that language, that could be your first language. So English language is our second language, in which we need to learn this process consciously. So in this class, in previous lectures, we talked about words. Now we will talk. We are at the stage. We will talk about phrases, because after the next stage after the words is phrases. So what is a phrase? A phrase is a group of words that stands together as a single grammatical unit. Grammatical unit is noun, pronoun, adjective, adverb, verb, conjunction, and prepositions. So there are some groups there are some words which are joined together and they give you some meaning, but these are not complete sentences because these words do not carry subject and verb with them. You can see here an example: at the store, the running water, under the table, over the moon. So there are words joined together, three or four words, or five words, or seven words, no matter how many words are there. But the thing is, there is no subject and verb, especially verb. Now you can see here at is preposition, the is article, store is the noun. So these are the examples of the phrases. So phrase is not equal to sentence because the shortest structure of a sentence is subject and verb, and a phrase does not carry a subject or even a verb. So phrase is a group of words, but this group of words gives you a meaning and it acts like one single grammatical unit. So a phrase could be a prepositional phrase. Now we will see in the example first, then we will talk about the types. Now here is an example: the gym at the end of the street. This is a phrase because this does not carry a subject and this does not carry a verb, but it is acting like a noun here. Now it's a group of words, it is confirmed that it is a phrase, but now it should be a single grammatical unit. Here this is a noun. How? You know that to find out the noun you put the question what or who or even whom. So read this sentence, the complete sentence. The gym at the end of the street is new. Subject, verb, or object. So this whole phrase is your subject. Okay? Because this whole phrase is a noun. Its function is noun. So what is new? The gym at the end of the street. So it is giving you the answer of what. So this will help you a lot to find out the nouns, or you can tell that this is a noun phrase. Okay. So now the question is, how come we will know that this group of word is a noun phrase, if this group of words is prepositional phrase or etc. So we have different types of phrases. How we classified the group the phrases into different types, this is the question. So we used the head of the phrase to classify it. The head of the phrase will classify either that phrase is prepositional, noun phrase, verb phrase, adjective phrase, or adverbial phrase. So the starting word, head is the starting word of the phrase will define its type. Okay, now we are going to talk about the types of phrases which we have and how we have classified it. We have classified it according to its head. First type is prepositional phrase. Prepositional phrase starts with the preposition. So, in love, in is a preposition here. Over the rainbow, over is preposition here. So this phrase, the head of this phrase is a preposition. The head of this phrase is the preposition, which is why we called it a prepositional phrase. Second type of the phrase, noun phrase. Why we call it noun phrase? Because the head of the phrase is a noun. The black cat, a cat on the mat. Okay, so what? A black cat. Who? A black cat. Who? A cat on the mat. Okay, so this phrase, head of the phrase is cat. Cat. So this type of phrase is noun phrase. Second example. Second type. Second type of the phrase is a third type of the phrase is verb phrase. Verb phrase has the head within it as a verb. Now you can see in the example, eat cheese, jump up and down. So these phrases are starting from eat, which is verb, jump, which is verb. Now, the fourth type of phrase is adjectival phrase. This phrase starts from an adjective. The head of this phrase is adjective. Full of toys. A box full of toys. What kind of box? Full of toys. So these group of words are called adjectival phrases because it is giving you the answer of what kind of. Okay, you know these questions, I taught you these questions when we talked about parts of speeches, so you know how to find adjective. So the same questions you will put here to find out adjectival phrases. Okay, now, adverbial phrase. Those phrases whose head is an adverb, these phrases will call adverbial phrases. Now you can see very carefully. Here, very is adverb. So this phrase is adverbial phrase because the head of this phrase is adverb. And you know, now keep one thing in your mind whenever you are supposed to identify the phrase. First thing what you can do is you need to look into the group of words. Either they carry the verb or subject or not. If they are not carrying the subject and verb, they are phrases. First thing to identify a phrase. Second thing to identify the type of phrase is to look into its head. What type of head it is? If the head is preposition, sorry, your phrase is prepositional phrase. If the head is starting from noun, your phrase is noun phrase. If the head is starting from verb, your phrase is verbial phrase. If the head is starting from adjective, your phrase is adjectival phrase. If the head is starting from adverbial phrase. Now, the third tip to identify the type of phrase. You can ask questions, same questions which I taught you to identify the parts of speech. If the phrase is giving you the answer of what, who, or whom, that phrase is noun phrase. If the phrase is giving you the answer of what kind of, how many, which one, it means that phrase is adjectival phrase. If the phrase is giving you the answers of where, when, how many, how, uh, and how much, sorry, how many and how much. So those type of phrases would be adverbial phrase. So I have given you three tips to identify the phrase first, and then the type of a phrase. Okay. Now the second thing which I want to tell you about is about clause. What is a clause? Clause is after phrases in the hierarchy of learning a language, we have clauses. So, what is the difference between phrase and a clause? Clause is again a group of words, but this time it includes the subject and a verb. Again, this clause could be act as a single grammatical unit. It could be an adjective, it could be an adverb, or it could be a noun. A clause could be called as a simplest type of sentence because it carries the subject and the verb. Okay? Example is I cannot remember what happened last night. What happened last night here is a clause. What happened last night is a clause, and I cannot remember is another clause. Now you can see in these two clauses, you can see we have subject and we have verb. We have subject, a verb, what as a pronoun, and happened again is a verb here. Ali likes tea, but Ahmed likes cold drink. Ali is the subject and likes is the verb. Again, Ahmed is the subject and and likes is the verb. So in a sentence, we could have one or more than one clauses. Same is the case with the phrases. In one sentence, we could have more than one phrases as well. So in this sentence, we have two clauses. Now, you should know the major difference between phrase and a clause. Phrase does not have subject and verb, and clause always have a subject and verb. Now we will talk about the types of clauses. Before moving towards the type, I would like to tell you one thing, that one sentence could carry more than one clauses. Peter ate dinner while he watched TV. So in this sentence, you have two mini sentences. Peter ate dinner while he watched TV, because sentence must have subject and verb. Peter subject, ate verb. He subject, watched verb. So uh, there could be more than one clauses within a sentence. So this is an example of uh, a sentence which carries two clauses. Now you can see here, Peter ate dinner while he watched TV. This sentence carries again two clauses, and we can add more than two as well. Now we will talk about the types of clauses. As we talked about the types of phrases, now we will talk about the types of clauses. Now we will talk about the types of clauses. Two major types of clauses are independent clauses, or they are called simple sentences, which has subject and verb in it. So independent clauses are also called simple sentence because they are giving you a complete meaning. They are not dependent on anything, and they carry subject and verb. Now you can see in the example, Akram came into the store. Akram subject, came verb, and we have rest object here. Dependent clause. Dependent clause means it is dependent on another clause. It is not independent. So a dependent clause will always depend on an independent clause in a sentence. So it is not a complete sentence on its own. Now you can see here, Pakistan won the match, although captain didn't play the match. Here, although captain didn't play the match is a dependent clause because it is not giving you a complete meaning. It is dependent on some other clause. Although captain didn't play the match, the meaning is missing. This is not a complete sentence. So, in order to complete this dependent clause, you need an independent clause. Pakistan won the match. So far we have talked about phrases and clauses and their types. We have five types for phrases: noun phrase, prepositional phrase, verb phrase, adjectival phrase, and adverbial phrase. And if we talk about clauses, the difference between phrases and clauses is phrases do not contain subject and verb, and clauses always contain subject and verb. But now, where is the difference? The difference is clauses are of two types. One is independent. Why we call independent clause a complete sentence? Because a clause contains a subject and verb. Same is the case with a sentence. A sentence contains subject and verb. If a group of word has a subject and verb, we can call it a sentence. So what is the difference between independent clause and sentence? So the answer is there is no difference. Independent clause is the type of sentence which is called simple sentence, which we will talk about in our next session. Okay. Another type on another independent clause because it carries the subject and verb, but it is not equal to any type of sentence because it is not giving you a complete sense. In order to write a sentence, you should know that your sentence should be giving a complete sense. Now we will talk about the sentence. What is a sentence? A sentence is a group of words which makes a complete sense. So the basic structure of the sentence is subject, verb, and other we have object, complement, and other adverbial phrases. The example of the sentence is people are enjoying the ceremony. The whole family was gossiping. Now, the question is what makes a sentence? How one can say that a sentence, this group of words is a complete sentence. Now we will talk about this sentence. Peter ate dinner. A sentence is composed of three things. First thing is subject, that could be a noun or pronoun, and that does an action or experiences a state of being. So the action is performed by the subject. Second part of the sentence is ate, that is verb. That expresses the action. That will tell you the action. Third part of the sentence is dinner. That is object, and that will also be composed of noun or pronoun. So the object is that noun or pronoun that receives that action. So this subject and this verb and this object, these three things combined together can make a complete sentence. Now, Peter ate dinner is a complete sentence. Now, another type of sentence, another way of composing a sentence. In this way, we have subject, verb, and complement. Now, a sentence, other than subject, verb, and object, we could have a sentence which carries subject, verb, and complement. Now, the question is, what is a complement? Now, read it. A complement is a great deal like an object, but it differs that it does not receive the action. Instead, it is the subject. If you talk about the object, object receives the action. Peter ate dinner. Peter ate what? Dinner. So dinner receives his that meal is receiving the Peter's action of eating it. So object is the thing on which the action is performed. So the action is performed on the dinner. But in another type of sentence where we have the complement, the complement does not receive your action. Complement could be a noun or adjective. If we talk about object, it could be a noun or pronoun. But complement could be a noun or adjective. If you want to understand the complement, you need to look into the verb. If the verb is not an action verb by which an action is performed on something, it means that word is a complement because the complements contain the verbs which are intensive verbs. What are intensive verbs? Mostly be forms or linking verbs are called intensive verbs, such as be and feel. They do not have the action, any moving action. Okay, so these are intensive verbs which do not have any action or they hold the action within them. They are holding the action. Now you can see here in these two examples that what is the difference between an action verb and intensive verb. If you will understand the difference between action verb and intensive verb, then you will be able to understand the difference between object and complement. Okay? First thing, Peter threw the ball. Now, threw is a verb by which you are performing an action. You are throwing. Okay, you threw that ball. Okay, so the action of yours in which you were throwing that thing. So that action was performed on that bone. Okay, so that bone receives your action. That bone receives your action because you perform that action on the bone. Okay, you threw that bone. So this is an action word. If we talk about this sentence, Peter is happy. Now this is not telling you an action which is performed by you, and this is is not performing any action on happy. Rather, happy is more about the subject. It is holding the action, that it is telling you about the subject. It is giving you, so happy is adjective. So it is giving you the information about Peter, the condition of the Peter. Okay. So the verb is written here in Peter is happy is an intensive verb. Peter and happy are the same thing. So the mathematical equal sign is representing the action of the intensive verb. Its action is to holding those two, the subject and the verb, which is telling about the subject. Okay, so this is called linking verb. And when we were talking about the types of verb, we talked about the linking verbs. And we said that linking verb is mr and be and feel and become and seem. So these words are linking verbs because it is telling you, after these linking verbs, you will have a word that is telling you about the subject. There is no other object on which the action is being performed. Okay, so the complement is telling you about the subject. It is holding the information about the subject. It is not the word on which the action is being performed. Okay, so it is not that word. So it is not and became. Remember one thing, that these verbs will be followed by nouns or adjectives, which could be your complements. Now you can see in this example, Peter is a teacher. Teacher is noun as a complement. So a complement could be a noun, or Peter is happy. Happy is adjective. So now again, happy is a complement. So what? Now complement could be a noun, or complement could be adjective. So these two words, if you see, they are telling you about the Peter. There is no action which is performed on the in these words. Okay, which is why they are called complement. So because this is the complement on the subject. Okay, so first structure of a sentence is subject, verb, and object. Second structure of the sentence would be subject, verb, and complement. Now, the third structure of the sentence is Subject, verb, and adverbial. Keep one thing in your mind before learning this concept. What is an adverb? That adds information about the verb. Okay? So the types of adverbs you can find by putting the question how, where, when, how much, or to what extent, or how many. Okay? So this is another structure of the sentence. Subject is again verb is by which of the action and in the kitchen. Peter was in the kitchen. Where the Peter was? Where? So where is adverb of place in the kitchen. So it is adverbial phrase. What it is? Adverbial. It is adverbial. Adverb. It will. You can find this by putting these questions. Okay, because this is telling you about the verb. Now you can see these examples. Peter was a student last year. Peter was subject. Was is the verb. A student is a compliment about Peter. Peter was what? A student. Noun. This is the noun. So it's a compliment. Last year. When? It's adverbial. So in one sentence, there could be object, there could be complement, there could be adverbial. But the basic structures there are three. The simplest structure by which we can say that this is a complete sentence. Second example is Peter went to New York to visit his aunt. Peter's subject went, verb, where? To New York. Why? To visit his aunt. So there are two adverbials here. Peter drive quickly. Peter's subject, drive, verb, and quickly, how. So it's again adverbial. So to summarizing this point, I would say this thing that the structure of the sentence could be three. The basic components of the sentence could be three types. First one is subject, verb, or object. Second one is subject, verb, or complement. Third one is subject, verb, and adverbial. So subject and verb, these two things are compulsory for a sentence. Okay? She ate. Subject and verb, a complete sentence. Okay? Other than that, what three things you can add to complete your sentence? Object that receives your action, and that object could be noun or pronoun. Complement, that is a complement on the subject that is not receiving your action. Okay? It's a state of the subject. So a complement could be an adjective or a noun. Adverbial. Adverbial is a phrase that tells you about the verb that modifies your action. And you can find it by putting the question, those questions which you put to find out the adverb. Now you can see this example. Is this a sentence? Peter ate dinner while he watched TV. Yes, this is a sentence. It is a sentence which we talked earlier when we were talking about clauses. So let's look of the components of this sentence. Now you will see. Now let's talk about the syntactical feature of this sentence. Peter, subject. Ate, verb. Dinner, Peter ate what? So action is performed on dinner, so it is object. while, leave this while here. He. He is again subject. Watched. Verb. TV. So again, TV is an object because the TV is receiving the action of its watching. So we have the subject which is Peter, and we have the subject which is he. And we have two words here, ate and washed, and we have two objects here, which is dinner and TV. Now, again, we can see in this example, after exercising, Peter ate dinner while he watched TV. So, we learned some basic structures of the sentences. Now, we are learning that how much complex a sentence could be. A sentence could carry object, complement, and adverbial, all these three things in one sentence. Okay, a sentence could carry more than one clauses in a sentence, but the very purpose is it should follow the basic component of it. That is subject, verb, object, or complement or adverbial. At least these. Now you can read here. After exercising, Peter ate dinner while he watched TV. Now you can see that there are two clauses. Peter ate dinner while he watched TV. There is a phrase as well. It is after exercising. So a sentence could be of a phrase or clauses as well. So sentences could be a composition of phrases and clauses. Peter ate dinner. It's one sentence, simple sentence. Other than that, if we talk about this sentence, because Peter ate dinner, it's a clause because it is dependent clause, and then we have subject and verb, so it is dependent clause. While he watched TV, another dependent clause, he got indigestion. So it's an independent clause. He got indigestion. So a sentence could be could be carrying number of phrases and clauses together. After exercising at the gym across the street, it's a phrase. Peter ate dinner. It's a sentence. In the kitchen, one complete sentence. A sentence could carry a lot of things, phrases, clauses, dependent, independent clauses, and different types of phrases, even. But no matter how many things a sentence is carrying, the thing is, it should have a complete sentence in it. Okay? Okay. By this, we are ending our today's session. We have talked about the phrases, clauses, and sentences. Now I am going to summarize the whole lecture. We have talked about the what is a phrase that does not carry the subject and verb, and we talked about the different types of phrases on the basis of their heads. We have five different types. Now, next we talked about the clauses that again the group of words, but the thing is it carries the subject and verb, and it has two types, and one in type which is independent could be called as a simple sentence, and another type is dependent, which carries the subject and verb, but it is not giving you a complete sentence because it is dependent on another independent clause. Another thing we learned about is sentences. Sentences are the complete sentences always give you a complete meaning. The simplest structure of the sentence is subject and verb. With that, you can a sentence could carry an object which receives the action, a complement which is a complement on the subject, or an adverbial that gives you or modifies your action. A sentence could carry a lot of phrases and a lot of clauses in one go. You can write as much lengthy sentence as you want, and you can write as much complex sentence as you want. But the thing is, your sentence, no matter what, how much it is lengthy, but it should have a basic structure in it, which is a subject, a verb, or object. Okay, it should carry a subject and a verb, or an object to complement or adverbial. It should carry at least these components. So by this, our today's lecture is going to end. After watching this lecture, I have given you an assignment which you have to complete, and we will talk about that assignment and the concepts which we have learned in this lecture in our interactive session. While doing your assignments, if you have any query regarding this lecture, you can write in the comment box, and I will respond to that query so that you can complete your assignment easily. Okay. Till then, Allah Hafiz.